feel it's hard to change my desires. So is desiring to desire, if that's as good as it gets for Krishna, that's a shift towards a change.
It is, and part of what I was saying, what I mean to say, when I said that everything that happens to us is meant to help us. Because we are, depending on what our desire is, the intensity of the desire, we do things. You know, we go places, we decide where we're going to be, what we're going to do, this and that. And gradually, and it may take lifetimes, or it may take one of those very fortunately at Srila Prabhupada's darshan. And in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, it says that if anyone who's fortunate enough to see a person in his stature, on the retina of the eye, becomes a worshipable person themselves, just by seeing such a person. So we have this great gift. So, yeah, it is hard to change the desire, because it's way down deep. That original desire, what we're looking for, is way down deep, beyond the modes of nature. So, what can I say? You have to stay with the devotee. We have to stay with the devotees, and gradually, that desire will come out. We've seen it. I see it in you. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm asking, like, simultaneously, we have, because we've been touched by your devotee, and we have the darshan of the Lord. We have some desire, but at the same time we have things that we all desire to chant in a humble state of mind, but I know that I'm not chanting in a humble state of mind. So if both things are existing simultaneously, just desiring to desire.
No, what happens is, when that desire is there, then Krishna makes the arrangements. The arrangements are made for us. So that when when the other desires that tend to interfere with that, when they do interfere, then Krishna will arrange things in such a way as we'll go down a cul-de-sac, and the desire just won't fructify. That's the purpose of failure in the material world. The purpose of failure to fulfill material desires in the material world. It's the purpose of it. So that we'll eventually get the point. And we will. We do. And it's painful in most ways sometimes. But it's interesting because in that verse that we just read, the Vajitani was quoting to Sarvabhaumapadacarya, he's pointing out that actually the soul doesn't suffer. Actually. The soul doesn't suffer. The soul, but he does. This is your point. Because he thinks he's suffering. It's identification. It's a matter of identification. The more we identify with the body, the more we identify with the suffering. That doesn't mean that the suffering will go away. It doesn't mean that now our bodies are getting older. And when we first met each other, it was a whole different thing, But Krishna arranges things. He arranges things so that gradually, our desires do change. And even when we got mercy from the spiritual master, even without following strictly, it'll be easier to follow. There's an actual purport where Prabhupada says that. By getting the mercy of the spiritual master, then even without following, it'll be easier. Or following will be easier. Or both. So yes, both things are going on, and yes, it's tough. Because that's what the material world is. And therefore, Manushanam Sahasreshu, Kashyap Vidati Siddhaye, Etatamam visiddhanam kaschin mam vedita. Therefore, it's a rare soul. Mahonam janmanam janavan mamulokite vasudeva savamiti samahatma sudurva. Such a great soul whose heart is open and who's no longer desiring material things and just has come to the conclusion, Vasudeva Savamiti, that Krishna is everything. That's a very rare thing to achieve. So we shouldn't think that it's a false expectation to think that to get such a thing should be easy. We're willing to put ourselves on the line to be able to jump over a bar 1/16 of an inch or even 100th of an inch more than anybody has ever done before. We're willing to give our whole life to it. And we get sponsors. And they give us a lot of money. And we live high and hard. Just so that we can jump 1/16 of an inch over the bar more than anybody else has. Hari-bol. Big deal. So if we're willing to, do what you have to do to get a gold medal or PhD or become whatever they have to do, to do something difficult to do in the material world. What to speak of to get pure devotional service, and become in the company of Krishna personally, and get his service, get the service of Radha and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. This is, it's a false expectation to think that should be easy. It's a matter of responsibility. Bhagavad and I always talk about this subject matter. It's a very, very pertinent subject matter. How are we taking responsibility? Do we want to put the responsibility on, do we think that's what surrender is? Oh, now I have a pure devotee of Krishna. No problem, Gurudev. Go ahead. No, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, for our spiritual lives. And it's at the root of all of these controversies. We fight like, where did we come from? No, we couldn't have come from here. We must have come from there. It must have been like this, it must have been like that. We argue over Shastri. And it all has to do with this, responsibility. Are you willing to take responsibility for having made the decision to come here? Because unless you do, you're not going to be able to change your desire to want to go out. That's it. Yes?
There seems to be a tug of war between an intense desire to see Krishna and an intense feeling of insignificance. Because you think, okay, well, I'm missing. And then you feel so insignificant and so unworthy, so small. And you think, well, maybe the only thing that I could, if I could just be like the grass outside Vrindavan kind of thing, how can I dare to even imagine that I can have a desire to see Krishna? But then you're saying that we should have an intense desire to see Krishna. So how do you balance those?
We have an intense desire to be anywhere where Krishna's pure devotees are. They'll step on us. That's the verse.
Yeah.
And if you get there, automatically you get Krishna. Automatically. Because Krishna, he cannot resist being with his pure devotees. The gopis, they sometimes, pray to Krishna, please get out, get out, get out. This is too much. You're not coming back. And I'm like in a state, don't you care? Get out. But they can't get him out. And the more they think like that, the more he feels like that, the more he's there, and the more ecstasy they're in. The more ecstasy they feel. Because this ecstasy is something different than anything we can conceive of in this world. The laws of nature are different. The spiritual laws of nature are different. But real humility comes as we're approaching Krishna. Whatever way we're doing it through, however we're getting there. And the closer we get, the more humble we become.